What if you had everything? Not just money, not just comfort or convenience, but everything. Power, legacy, the loyalty of millions. The world bends to your will. No law can touch you. No hunger you cannot satisfy. No desire you cannot fulfill. Now ask yourself this. Would you still choose to be good? This isn't a fantasy. This is the true story of a man who lived with godlike power. And instead of losing himself, he found something greater. His name was Marcus Aurelius. And though history remembers him as an emperor, he lived as a servant, not to a king, not to a god, but to virtue. This is not a biography. It's not a history lesson. It's a mirror, a question. What do you do when nothing stands in your way except yourself? Marcus ruled the Roman Empire at its height, a man born into gold, crowned by destiny, surrounded by temptation. And yet, he lived more like a monk than a monarch. No indulgence, no excess, no ego. He woke before the sun, endured wars, disease, betrayal, and wrote quietly to himself, not speeches for glory, but reminders. Reminders to stay human. Because Marcus knew something we forget in modern life. Power doesn't corrupt. It reveals. When there's nothing to stop you, who are you, really? In his writings, meditations as we now call them, he never bragged, never told others what to do. He whispered to himself as if trying to keep his soul from slipping. He wrote, "Don't waste what's left of your life arguing about how to be good. Be it." To him, philosophy wasn't theory, it was armor, a shield against vanity, against laziness, against cruelty. He said, "You could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow." Every sentence, a battle cry against procrastination, a reminder that this moment, this one, is the only life we're guaranteed. But here's the twist. Marcus was not happy, at least not in the way we think of happiness. He lost children, fought brutal wars, was betrayed by allies. He lived through plague and pain, loss and fatigue. And still, every morning, he woke up and reminded himself, "You were born to do this, not born to rule, born to endure, to serve, to grow." He believed that we, like trees, like rivers, have a nature, and ours is reason, compassion, courage. He looked at animals and said, "They do what they were made to do. So should I." Imagine that. Not praying for things to get easier, not praying for enemies to vanish, but praying for the strength to meet them head on. And when people lied to him, betrayed him, slandered him, he didn't seek revenge. He reminded himself, "They do what they believe is right. Maybe I would too, if I were them." He chose understanding over judgment, discipline over comfort, principles over praise, because to Marcus, the true measure of a man was how he acted when no one was watching. And let's be honest, most of us live for the eyes of others. We post, perform, and pretend. But Marcus, he wrote for himself, and maybe that's why his words still feel like they're speaking to us. He didn't fear death. He welcomed it. Not as a morbid obsession, but as a motivator. He said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you say, do, and think. Not in fear, in focus." He knew that life wasn't about lasting forever. It was about doing something worth the breath it took to live. And that's the punchline most people miss. Marcus Aurelius wasn't great because he was emperor. He was great despite it. He stood in the middle of unlimited power and chose humility. He was offered every pleasure and chose virtue. He could have been a god, but chose to be good. So here we are, no thrones, no empires, but the same temptations, the same distractions. Our world doesn't look like Rome, but the war is the same. Comfort versus discipline, ego versus humility, tomorrow versus today. And maybe that's why we still read his words. Not because we want to be emperors, but because we want to be free. And as Marcus taught us, Freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It means choosing the right thing, even when no one's watching.